We got the DCF961 here and the DCF900. So today I'm going to be doing a basic test on these two impacts. They're both 1/2 inch. One big difference between these two that I noted was this one runs at 1200 RPM. This one runs at 2300 RPM. So this one spins up a lot quicker. This one's a bit slower. There's a lot of good information online about specific torque settings, but the breakaway is 1400 on this, and the max breakaway on this is 1900. The impacts per minute, this one runs at 2200 impacts per minute, and this one's 1890 impacts per minute. So the test is to take off a wheel on a 3/4 ton pickup. There's 8 lugs on the wheel, and just curious, with this one spinning a bit slower, quite 1000 RPM slower, how long it takes to take off one wheel compared to this one. So let's get to the test. So all these lug nuts are torqued down to 140 foot-pounds, and both of these impacts should take them off without a sweat. So it's not so much if they can do it, but it's just how quickly they take them all off. And we're going to try all 8 on each tool and see how it goes. I'll put a timer up here. Let's get started on the DCF900. There we go, all 8 are off. Okay, now I'm going to reverse the process and knock them all back on. I got them all the lug nuts put on there, and I put 3 turns on it by hand to get them started. So let's see how quickly I get them all knocked back on. Done. Now we're going to move over to the DCF961. Alright, there you go, all 8 are off. Alright, now I'm going to do the same thing and put the lug nuts back on. Alright, all 8 are back on. So back, finished the test using the 961 and 900 on taking off a couple wheels on a 3/4 ton pickup. Right off the bat, I noticed a huge difference between the two units. The speed, the RPMs, this running 1100 RPM slower. Noticed right away, you know, when you're spinning off those lug nuts, going and then going and keep on going before the lug nut came off. While this one is just like whoop off. Of course, you don't need the power of either of these to get off lug nuts, but I was just getting the feel for how these function. So just with that slower RPM, you're holding that tool up to that nut a lot longer than you would on this guy. And another surprising thing that happened, it literally spit out this, and you can see that shiny spot. It ripped out a chunk of the metal in this extension right off the bat. So a little bit disappointed in that, pretty much ruining the tool right away. And I could see it just having more and more problems of spitting out bits and spitting out extensions. So I'm not too impressed with this extra powerful impact over my good old classic 900. So that's my opinion on them. So if you're debating getting the extra power from this guy over the 900 that you may have, probably not worth it. I'm sure there's scenarios that this one might be handy, but really if you have a stubborn nut or stubborn bolt, best option, just heat the crap out of that nut or bolt and it'll spin right off. Or if you can't heat up the area, you know, get a extra long breaker bar, or get put a pipe on the end of a breaker bar to get that nut or bolt to crack loose. But heat is usually your best option on stubborn nuts and bolts before you end up breaking something. Not necessarily more power. I think this extra power in this guy is just a little bit out of control. You know, it literally just spit this right out. Really hitting on a bolt or nut hard, you risk breaking it. So it's probably not going to help you out. Just adding more and more power, it might get you in a really bad spot with a broken bolt and have to drill it out or something. So just some little tips. So that's my opinion anyway. I think the 900 is the way to go. I'm kind of going to be sticking with this guy over this. So until next time, we'll see you later.